Welcome to the Treehouse Life Podcast. This is the place where we take you behind the scenes of our builds, our adventures, and the stories that shaped our journey. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We are Treehouse Life, international designers of builders of tree houses, rope bridges, and nature-led adventure structures created for families all over the world. I'm Jo, the host of this show, and here is the star.
Thank you. I'm Paul Cameron. I'm the founder, CEO and Chief Imagineer at Treehouse Life.
Now, in our first episode, we're going to share who we are, how this company began, and the ethos behind it.
We are Treehouse Life. We create tree houses, we create rope bridges, treetop walkways, adventure parks, not only in the UK, but internationally, worldwide.
So what sets Treehouse Life apart from other builders and contractors?
Passion, creativity, adhering to imagination. We're not a product. We're not something that pops out of a factory. We're not in a brochure.
Right.
We're in the dreams and the imagination of our clients and the ability to turn that into a process and a wow factor delivery and do that as a journey. Take our clients and their children on a journey to a space where they can imagine.
So you're the creative force behind this.
Yeah.
So how would you describe what you do and the Treehouse Life journey to people who don't know who you are?
Yeah, it's we're creators of dreams. We always start with a wish list.
Okay.
So we talk to our audience, we talk to our potential clients and encourage them to think about a wish list. And then our job is to turn that wish list into wow factor.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if I were a client, how would you ask me what my wish list is? I'll come to you. I know I want a tree house, but
Yeah.
how would you create that vision for me?
Yeah, it's understanding the purpose. I mean, a treehouse is a big life-changing purchase. Okay, it's there for the childhood of a family, and they're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of really precious time in and around the treehouse. So really our starting point is to find out the obvious stuff, the number of children, the ages of the children, but more importantly, how the parents want to spend time with their children. It's a place for the whole family. It's a place for the children to imagine and pretend, and it's a place for the parents to delve into their inner child.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So how did you get here? Where did you start from?
I'm a drummer.
Are you? Tell
Yes.
me more about the drumming. It makes natural sense that you're a drummer.
2 careers, and I started first career as a session drummer. And I learned to play when I was 10. I ended up studying at the Royal College of Music and came straight out into the big wide world of the music business: films, TV, theatre, orchestras, bands, rock and roll,
Fantastic.
Beethoven,
Wow.
Mahler, Royal Albert Hall, proms, Shakespeare, the life of a musician. And so that's where my beliefs and passions and creativity come from. For me, tree houses, and I can talk more about that, but for me, tree houses is using the same muscle. It's a creative muscle, and it's turning what we do into a performance, into something that makes people feel something. And when they feel it, they respond. With music, they like to dance and clap and stand up and shout. With Treehouse, it's much the same. You're taking people into that space of pretend, that place of inner child. How much fun do we have when we're in our natural space at a weekend, and as a parent, you're mucking about with your kids. And when you're mucking about with your kids, you go into this place of inner child. You muck about with a cardboard box and it becomes a Grand Prix car, or it becomes a castle or a cafe. And that's a beautiful space. It's a very precious space. It's where parents and children are playing together. And a treehouse is really an extension of that play space, that pretend space.
So I understand that the idea behind how drumming and treehouse building can be from the same muscle, from the whole sort of like play, dance, that kind of creativity. But how did you get there?
Typical dad, I built 3 tree houses for my 2 boys,
Lucky boys.
Elliot and Charlie, and they're both in the business now.
Oh.
So it's been a complete journey, and I'm really fortunate and lucky as a dad. But as a dad, I'm not a carpenter, I'm not a builder.
Okay.
I have no knowledge. Little more knowledge now, having done tree houses for 25 years, but that's not my instinct. But my instinct is as a dad. And as a dad, I went to the local timber store, came back with a load of timber, and set about creating a space for my 2 boys. And I had such fun doing that as a dad and creating. I'd spent a lot of time in theatre and in film. So I'd watched and learnt how theatre directors and the stagecraft staff create spaces. And they do that with sets, and they do it with light, and they do it with sound, and they create a magical space. So I guess that was my point of vision, not a sort of formal carpentry background. It was an imaginative, creative space. But I just free-flowed with that, created some structures for my 2 boys to muck about in. And we did lots of mucking about. And that was at a time in my life when I was thinking about business. I was excited about becoming a business, perhaps being in a little bit more control of things that I've since learnt about marketing and cash flow and, all of those business structures. I, at that time, was in a successful place with my music, but forever, always just 2 weeks away from not working.
Yeah, not paid.
It's a constant state, very exciting and exhilarating state, and it works for the music business. But I guess, again, because I had 2 boys, I just felt I wanted to take a different direction. And this all came together when friends and family started commenting very favourably about what I'd created for my 2 boys. And I thought, well, I've done that for my 2 boys. Maybe there's something that I can do for other families. And I was wandering around, really bored at the Ideal Home Show.
Oh, well, okay.
One year. And bored, the mind wanders, and a little bit like a cartoon, a little bubble thing came out of my head. And it just recognised that there was nobody there. This is 25 years ago. There's nobody there selling tree houses. And I thought, my God, perhaps I could be here selling tree houses. Wow. It was one of those moments. And so I promised to myself that I'd be back the following year with a stand. And as always, true to promise, I was back the following year with a stand. The smallest, cheapest stand right out the back, just toe in the water, let's see what happens. Empty shell stand, no product. Put together a little brochure and a bit of a website, and stood there for 3.5 weeks. And I had loads of photos of the 3 tree houses that I built for the 2 boys, different seasons, different angles to make it look as though I'd done lots of work, like we all do, setting up a new business. But I stood there for 3.5 weeks with no product on the stand, just talked to people that were passing, and came away from that show with 44 leads.
And how many of them turned out to be clients.
Half of those.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did you panic?
Yeah. Broke out into a cold sweat.
Did you clients?
And thought, my God, we're off. We're off.
Wow.
And so, I had to just put it together. And that's what I did. And I brought into the fledgling business somebody who was a carpenter, who had those technical skills.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's right. And I could match that with my creative spirit. And we started putting it together. And just to finish this part of the story, we were back the following year, 12 months later, with the biggest main stand at the Ideal Home Show. In 12 months, we'd gone from being the cheapest, smallest stand in sort of Hall 3 out the back somewhere to being the main 60 square metre stand as you walk into the Ideal Home Show.
We're the Treehouse?
With 3 treehouses on the stand. And we had the structures. We had, staff and, a whole system. And so that was 12 months. Now, a lot's happened since then, and we've learnt all of the business lessons.
But your first 12 months, you were building a brochure and taking photographs of the tree houses that you had in your garden. That was the first sort of like evolving the business to be in a position to sell it.
Everything that came to us in that first year was from the first outing of the idea at the Ideal Home Show.
So do you remember your first client?
I do. Yeah, really favourably. It was wonderful. Oh. Wonderful. And I think it was Richmond or Kew. It was that part of London in somebody's back garden. And the spirit of that still remains to this day. I mean, I'm still not a carpenter. Mm-hmm. I'm still a creative spirit. I've learned a lot about business, and I've taken the business through drive and passion and creativity to what it is now. But it's been a long journey. But I love being that creative spirit. It's still that same muscle that I had earlier in my life as a drummer. Making the singer sound good. I learned that's how you got the gig next week. The singer would ask you back if you made them sound good, If you made the audience through how you play, you play with energy and commitment and conviction, and that would make the audience stand up and dance. So I run the business like a rock band.
Do you?
Yeah.
Go on. Who's the lead singer then?
I'm still the drummer, I'm driving the groove.
The rhythm.
And the rhythm and just holding it all together and shaping what we do. As a drummer lifts a band from a verse into the chorus, drum fill, and you lift it and it sets the band into...
You shape it, don't you? Change the tone, you change the pace.
Yeah. You lift it, you lift the key, you lift the band, you take everybody with you. And so, I've sort of learned that, a band doesn't work if there's 4 bass players.
True.
There needs to be a bass player, there needs to be a guitarist, there needs to be a drummer, there needs to be a lead singer.
So how does that look in Treehouse Life? The band, if you were to just take that as a phenomenon and put it into Treehouse Life, you hold the business together, and decide the rhythm. But then there's a lead singer, there's a bass, there's a lead guitarist.
It's the team. Yeah, it's the team, and we have a small team, deliberately small, and the energy between the people in that team is so important. It's not just a group of carpenters and engineers out on site. Obviously, those skill sets need to be there, but it's driven by the creativity of what we seek to achieve. I think the team sometimes imagine I'm on drugs because we go we go into someone's garden, and I've got the vision. I'm looking at the tree or the group of trees, and I can imagine, in a delirious state sometimes, what it will look like, what it will become. And I need to translate that and explain that to the team of technical people, the carpenters, the guys that are actually going to physically make that work.
So how do you get what's in your head out on paper or verbally to your team?
Yeah.
Obviously sounding a bit delirious, but what happens? What's the process from you seeing the vision and looking into the trees and going, this could work? Because it's not just tree houses, it's road bridges, it's places that go from one thing to another in the trees. And
it's a journey.
It's a journey.
So it is. I mean, it comes from what we talked about earlier, Joe, that play. It's not, a tree house is not just about the house. It's about how people use it. It's about the journey. So you're absolutely right in that we need to create a space for that journey. But communicating that is lots of conversation. It comes right the way back to what we were discussing right at the outset. It's understanding the wish list. And throughout our conversation, beautiful questions that you're giving me allows me to sort of wander off in all sorts of directions. But you asked me earlier about that starting point, and that's where it ends up when we're on site, when we're creating. So we're going from wish list to wow factor. I see what that looks like within its space. And there's some formal stuff there. There's budget, there's scope, there's the landscape, the trees, the ground, the river, the space that we're working in. But with all of those things worked through, we arrive at a design. And over 25 years, we've developed all sorts of skill sets. But the way that we work now is that we translate those ideas into a 3D model.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the 3D model is, a CAD model that allows us to show our client what that might look like. We also use 3D scanning, so we can scan the particular tree or the particular location precisely. We can put the drawing together with the scan, so we can give a really good representation of what we've designed will look like within its landscape. And where we've got to now is that we've translated every element of that into a process in our workshop where we can create all of those elements, bring that to site, and deliver that in a really efficient and smart way.
Fantastic. Can I ask you a question? Do you get the children involved in the design as well?
We love that. Yeah, that's a great question. And often the parents are not wanting the children directly involved because it's a present. It's a birthday or a Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a surprise. We're recording this just a few days away from Christmas. Yeah. And the project we're working on this week is a Christmas present.
So how do you hide that from the children?
We cover it up.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I mean, we're at a time of the year when, it's dark in the morning, dark late afternoon.
And kids are at school during...
Kids are at school during the day. And by the time they come home, the parents can sort of close the curtains and occupy them in such a way that they don't really see what's going on at the bottom of the garden. But we cover it up with, tarpaulins and sheets, and we take those away and work. And then at the end of the day, so it's sort of hidden. And what we've done on a number of occasions is when we finish it in the few days immediately before the magic of Santa arriving, we wrap the treehouse in a big red bow. And isn't that magical? Isn't that magical? Can you imagine the children waking up on Christmas morning and look what Santa's brought? And it's a treehouse. I mean, it's just the most amazing gift. But of course, that's at certain times of the year that can work. Other times of the year it can be a birthday. Often it's grandparents buying a present for their grandchildren. So sometimes the children are not involved. Other times it's the complete opposite of that, where we're trying hard to have a site consultation
and the kids are
get into this wish list, and everyone's firing at me, you know. But of course, yeah, that's part of the process, and sometimes the kids can't really, they're just firing out ideas. We want it to be a cafe, or we want it to be a castle. They're not necessarily thinking structure and practicalities. They're just immediately into that world of imagination, and it's for us to translate that. But I don't know, like my earlier life as a drummer, you would receive information all the time. Not always from the notation that's in front of you, the crotchets and quavers, but the best information are the grooves, what the bass player is playing, what the guitarist, what groove. So you're receiving signals all the time that aren't formal signals. They're not written out instructions. So for me, that site consultation that we do with the family, with the parents, with the grandparents, it's me listening. Yeah. It's doing what I've always done. I listen. And somehow I have this instinct to immediately begin to translate that. I'm doing that at the back of my head through that site consultation experience. So I always know by the end of that site consultation pretty much exactly what it is that we're going to create. We have to work with budgets and those constraints that we talked about earlier, but that's us translating all of those emotions, all of those passions. Nobody's telling me that we want something that is 5 meters. Nobody's telling me that they want it 2 meters high. There's none of those technicalities. They're talking about how they're going to use it. So they're giving me indications and guidance and signposts to how they wish to use that space emotionally, and how, therefore, when we deliver it, they can engage with it emotionally.
They don't realise you're doing that, though, do they?
No.
They're asking you for a treehouse.
Yeah.
And then you're delivering so much more than a treehouse.
Yeah.
You're delivering the whole experience and piece of wonder that you're creating for them. And that must be what sets you apart from any other treehouse builder that's out there.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's tough to say this. Carpenters are amazing, and we have amazing carpenters within the business. Yeah. Really awesome, technical, highly skilled craftsmen that can do amazing stuff with wood and materials. But I think, and I hope, that the success of what I do is born out of that instinct of creativity that I can't lose. I can't get away from that. That's my instinct. That's my nature. That's my DNA. That runs through everything that I do. And, I can be awkward on site when it comes to cutting wood. I've done it. I've learned all the skills, but I'm constantly told by the team, get off site, But I've done it.
Don't touch that.
Yeah, I can do it, but I'm not natural with it. I'm not instinctive with it. It's good that I understand it. It's good that I know about it, and it's good that I'm in tune with it. But what's more important for me is that journey from wish list to wow factor. We don't share with the client the process, how we achieve that. I know that we can deliver that. And that's something that we hold. That becomes the wow factor. So we have the confidence with what we do to know that we can deliver that. And it works because when the client sees it and their children come out and use it, and by the testimonials and by the relationship that we have with our clients many years later, we learn and discover how wonderful that childhood has been for their children. We have clients now who had children that were 3 years old when they were buying the treehouse. And that 3-year-old is now leaving university.
Still playing in their treehouse?
Yeah.
No.
Because playing, inverted commas, in their treehouse, it's tins of beer and their sort of mates from uni and a sort of sleep out, But that's great because it's still that emotional space. It's where they go to. I know, I'm sure you remember from your childhood, Joe, you would have your bedroom in the house and it was your private space, but it was still in your parents', in the grown-up's house. And a treehouse becomes that escape from the grown-up's house. We often use machinery to create a sort of crafted sign in wood with rope that can hang up on the front door, and sometimes we give that to the children, sort of keep out grown-ups, or that's so as we sort of hand over the keys, if you like, to the treehouse, we give the kids the sign so they can. So the grown-ups need permission from the children to enter into their magical space.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
And it represents, for me, it's something I've grappled with for 25 years, this word treehouse. And for so many people, the word treehouse is a house. It's a square house with a door and windows. For me, it's not about the house. There always is a house as part of a treehouse project, but it's one small part of it. For me, the word treehouse is a sort of collective word for childhood and the imagination and the play and what that treehouse becomes. It's a cafe one day, it's a castle the next day, it's a theatre, it's a school, it's whatever the imagination takes those children. So it doesn't have to be a house, it just needs to be a space within which the imagination, the pretend skill set that children are so amazing at, they're just superheroes at pretending, something us grown-ups lose the ability to do.
We do.
Yeah.
But sadly now, a lot of children lose that if they don't have that outdoor play. So not only is it a wonderful experience, it's actually crucial for children to get off their tech.
Increasingly so.
Get outside.
Yeah.
Because they're missing out on their own imagination. So
I know. My heart drops a little bit, but sometimes now parents are already talking about, at the site consultation, having a PowerPoint, And you think, no.
How do you wean them off the PowerPoint? No, you don't want a TV.
Perhaps not. I mean, we have to go with what they ask for, and I sort of get it, because I guess my compromise is, and I've seen it in action when we've gone back to projects where the kids, they're on their phones, they're playing games on their iPads, but they're sitting in the scramble net or they're in the hammock in the treehouse. So I sort of feel, okay, they're on their iPad, but at least they're in the treehouse. Yeah. So perhaps what they're doing on the iPad has a bit more imagination.
Yeah, but they starting off little, and then they grow into, as you say, we get into the teenage years. Yeah. And instead of losing the teenager to the bedroom, which a lot of parents experience. You lose the teenager to the treehouse.
Yeah.
And at least, as you say, they're out in nature experiencing that treehouse experience that they've had all their...
It's a place of imagination. And I think, I have this really fuzzy thought,
Go on.
Joe, but I often think sometimes that I might be walking in Guildford High Street and I'm passing somebody who's 20 and they won't know me and I won't know them.
You won't recognise them.
They may be somebody that's had the most amazing childhood because of one of my tree houses.
That's lovely. Lovely.
We won't know it, but you're
almost the time where somebody who you built a treehouse for may well come back to you to build a treehouse for their children because you've been going for 25 years, and that's almost ready for a 10-year-old to say, right, I've got kids. I want you. When you built them 10 years ago or 25 years ago, I've got children. I want you back. That's going to happen soon, isn't it?
It is. To make the advert point, we are the longest standing treehouse business in the UK. So uniquely, we are positioned with a client base going back 25 years.
And why do you think you're the longest treehouse company in the UK?
I think it comes to this point that we've started to talk about, where it's driven by the creative spirit rather than
commercial.
Yeah, I've seen, obviously, there are many more treehouse companies in the UK and worldwide now. We were the first and the longest standing company now. So it felt, in the early days, really pioneering. There wasn't a book that I could go to. There wasn't a manual that I could go to of how to run a treehouse business. Lots of books on how to run a business, and we, like all businesses, I ran into all sorts of business challenges and issues along the way, but we've solved those and we're still here. But I've seen many other treehouse companies pop up, but I've also seen many other treehouse companies pop up and 3 years later are no longer. And one of my observations is that the world of treehouses, particularly nowadays, 25 years on, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, there's much more visibility of tree houses all around the world. And I think it's a really attractive space if you're a carpenter to think, well, I can do that. I can build tree houses. And of course they can. I love carpenters, and we're dependent upon carpenters in my business, but maybe they have all of the technical skills, but don't always have the creative energy that sits behind that.
They're lacking the drummer.
Lacking the drummer. That's absolutely, that's one of my takes on it, and that's not by any means a criticism in any way of what carpenters do, but I think sometimes they can see the structure.
But they don't have the entire orchestra or band to do that, possibly.
Well, they could do that one or two times. But as I've learnt, actually running a business, whatever that business might be, is something very unique and particular.
And that's another topic we'll cover in another episode, is how do you actually run the business behind the vision that you had. Is there anything that you haven't told us about you and creating Treehouse Life that I need to ask you?
I think we need to come a full circle and just share with you that my two boys that I built 3 tree houses for when they were tiny and small, they're both now in the business.
Fabulous.
So isn't that, that's just an amazing, for me as a dad. And I always remember, and I remember this when I'm talking with potential clients, that for me, it was a dad wanting to build something for my two boys. That's all it was. And so when I talk to clients now, I see that and appreciate that. It's a dad, it's a mum and a dad wanting to do something really awesome for their children.
And you've experienced it yourself. Isn't your grandfather built you?
He did. Yeah, my grandfather, really fond memories. I think that's the trigger. It's always difficult to put your finger on it, but I held my grandfather in. He was my hero. Still is to this day, and still is to my two boys. I've got photos of him, black and white photos, at the Battle of the Somme in the First World War, and being somebody that went into that battle and survived it, lived until he was 86. So a real hero, and he built me a treehouse when I was young, tiny, in our back garden. So, yeah, he built me and my brother and my sister a treehouse. That's what I did for my two boys. It's what I recognize in my clients. We're not selling a product. We're not selling an item from a brochure into their garden. What we're doing is satisfying that wish, that deep-held wish and passion just to give your kids the best childhood that they can. And
be a hero.
And be a hero, yeah. And it's just a magical space, and I think we hang on to that. At the end of the day, that's where the wow factor comes from. What we do is not so highly processed that it looks like a factory-built product. It still is very much handmade, handcrafted. It's still, everything we do looks and feels handcrafted. And that's probably happened because I'm not a carpenter, that we've held on to that perspective, that view, that sort of handcrafted look and feel. And in a way, keeping that is challenging, because it's much easier to head off into a sort of factory-built solution, particularly when you're looking at the business as a business and everybody around you is advising you to scale and profit and all of those things, but holding on to those deeply held values in business terms is not what the textbook teaches you, but again,
But you're doing it with heart and standing at the back of the band, drumming.
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's what I give to my two boys, who will take the business forwards, I'm never going to leave. I'm going to be the old guy. Yeah, you won't get me out of the business.
Roll you into every.
I know it's tough. It's tough, but they're learning to sort of work with me, and
fantastic.
But isn't that an amazing story?
It's a lovely story.
And that's arisen. That's not something that's been planned for, but it's just beautiful that they've both, having worked out in the world in other jobs and professions, they've
come
sort
back
of
to you.
Chosen and gravitated to come back, just in the nick of time.
I doubt it. So I think that's a lovely space to just finish it. It's
wonderful.
Like we've rounded it up, and we now understand you and your vision and the company that you build and the tree houses that you build for people.
Thank you, Jo. Yeah.
And don't forget to follow us on Apple and Spotify and YouTube. And we'll be back next week with another episode.
Thanks for listening to the Treehouse Life Podcast. If this episode sparked your imagination, follow along and stay connected. You can find more of our work, stories from the treetops, and adventures around the world at Treehouse Life HQ. Until next time, keep exploring.